"Oh, my," I stammered. "Thank you for calling. This is an honor." What he said next puzzled me. "Where in Ephrata do you live?" I told him. Then he added, "I lived in Ephrata, too, on East Fulton Street." "My God," I replied. "I grew up on East Fulton Street. Where did you live?" "Next to the stockyard," he said. "That big wood frame house? I know it," I said, thoroughly amazed. "I lived on the other end of the block, at the corner of Fulton and Lake. I saw your house every day of my life." "I lived there in the 20s, he said. "We later moved to Lancaster." Somehow I had missed the reference to Lancaster near the end of episode 2 of the HBO series Day of Days. "Did you know Lottie Gardner?" "Sure I knew Lottie," I told him. "That was our favorite place to go trick-or-treating when I was a kid. She gave dimes instead of candy. A dime bought 2 plain Hershey bars back then." Winters chuckled. "It's a small world." Our first interview and meeting was a few days later. I took along my colleague, photographer Dan Marshka, who was almost as excited as I was to meet Winters. We met in the second-floor office at his home, and I sat in the same creaky leather chair once used by author Stephen E. Ambrose and actor Damian Lewis, although not at the same time. Our interview lasted about an hour, but Dan and I spent another 2 hours there, enthralled by the man, his stories, indeed his very presence. The article ran next day, and was entitled Biggest Brother, a phrase I used in my first paragraph, where I wrote, "If the men of Easy Company, 506th Parachute Infantry Regiment of the 101st Airborne are a band of brothers, then Dick Winters is the biggest brother." The editor loved it. Unfortunately, he pulled it for the title and changed my reference to "Winters is the big brother." Editors, you gotta love 'em. Later, when I told people about this book and its title, some thought I swiped it from Steven Spielberg, who used the same term to describe Winters at the Emmys in September 2002, when actually I had used it a year earlier. Winters called me that day. "I have been interviewed by a lot of newspapers and magazines," he said, "but that was the best article about me I have ever seen. You did a hell of a job, and the picture was terrific." Although that made me happy, what thrilled me even more was when he reproduced copies of the article, including photos, and sent them along in replies to any fan who requested an autograph. Better yet, I quickly became Winters' favorite reporter, and Dan became his favorite photographer. That meeting sparked a long and happy friendship with Winters. Over the next few months, we spoke often, and I visited him when I had the chance. In April 2002, HBO re-released the series, and I again interviewed Winters on how it feels to be an 84-year-old media celebrity. For this article, I also interviewed Forrest Guth and Bill Garnier. Dan again went along as my photographer, and his picture of Winters sifting through a stack of mail with a whole box of other letters sitting beside him became one of Winters' favorites. That photo appears in this book. This book came about in the spring of 2003. I had been in Ray Shaw's office talking about Winters' hectic public appearance schedule. "You and he have become pretty close," Shaw said. "Have you thought about writing his biography? I'm sure there's a market out there for it." Actually, I hadn't thought about it, and even if I had, it is unlikely I would have suggested it to Winters, as I felt it would have been imposing on our friendship. Also, I was very busy myself, and a book is a major undertaking. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that someone was going to write a book about him someday. So why not me? Someone who knew him and had a deep and abiding respect for the man and his deeds. So the next time I was at Dick's home, I broached the idea, adding that if he did not like it, all he had to do was say no, and that'd be that. "Let me think about it," he said. A few days later, he called me. "I've been thinking about that project we talked about," he told me. "Let's do it." We got together a few days later, and Winters had prepared for me a plastic crate containing 4 loose-leaf binders